All right, moving on. We're going to go to page 2 now of the instruction manual, and what it says is we need bag A. So we have bag A. Just going to zip that open. So the other thing that you'll see is at the bottom of the page, it actually gives you a list of the parts that you're going to need for this particular part of the build. And it gives you the part numbers next to them as well, and the quantity that you will be needing. So we need the main chassis. We'll just put the other carbon bits just up here for now. And we need the rear blocks. You'll see that these are indicated that these are a 1 millimeter offset, and these are 0 offset. So we can change toe and stuff like that down the track. We might get into that a bit deeper, but for today we're just going to be doing the standard build. No optional parts are going to be fitted during this part of the build. We're just going to do a straight up build. So I'm just going to save losing all my bits, I've just got a parts tray that I'm just going to put these components into, and that way I'm not going to lose them. Okay, so we also need the screw bag, which is here. So I'm just going to open that. Okay, so we've got a selection of screws here, our bearings, and some shims that are kindly put in the kit. These come in handy when we're trying to precisely, shim up our arms to remove any kind of play that might be in there. So I'm just going to put the shims to the side for the moment because we're not going to need them, and I'm going to put the bearings to the side. What we are going to need to open though is this bottom section of countersunk screws, and I'm going to put those into our parts tray. Okay. So these other parts that came in bag A, we're just going to put them up out of the road for the moment. They're going to come in handy quite soon. Okay, so we're going to do that chassis assembly now. We've got bag A open. We've got the countersunk M3 screw bag open. We've got our blocks, and we have antenna posts there as well. What I'm going to show you just quickly, and this is something that's very handy when you're trying to work out the lengths of your screws. It can be quite confusing sometimes to find the correct screw. What Destiny had done is made it really simple. So this little picture down the bottom here, this is actually to scale. So if we hold up our screw, we can see that it actually is the correct one. So I don't know if you can see past my fat fingers. So that's an M3 6mm. So it says that we're going to need we're going to need 9 of those. So we'll just get 9 of those out. 4, 6, 8, 9. Alright, now a lot of people will go and use Loctite on all kinds of things. Personally, I never use Loctite on chassis screws like this going into aluminium. there's plenty of surface area on the countersink to well and truly lock it in there, harder than you'd ever really need. So there's not going to be any Loctite. If we do come across a situation where I believe Loctite's important, I'll show you guys that. Alright, so we're going to need a 2mm. Most of the screws on this car are going to be either 2mm, which is your most common, 1.5mm. There'll be 3mm on the shock balls, and there could be some 2.5mm stuff. This is the first time I've built the kit, so I'm not super familiar with it. So we're going to need those blocks. Again, making sure that we're not mixing these up. So we've got our ones and our zeros and the antenna post. So making sure that we know which is the front, which is the rear of the car, it's going to help. So this is definitely the front, and that's the rear. So we're going to basically get our 1 degree blocks up the front to start with, and you can see that they're really nicely located with a locating pin and also 2 screws there to hold everything down. So what we're going to do is just going to place that like so, and then we're just going to get our 2mm. So these are the M3x6 countersunk. Another thing that I'm not a big fan of is going and tightening a screw. If there's multiple screws holding a component in, you should always just work them up evenly. It just, you know, it just saves it twisting or being slightly out of place. The countersink will also pull it central, if you can sort of understand what I'm saying. So just put those screws in one at a time, obviously just not taking it to full tension, just a loose fit on that first one. And we'll just evenly just knit those up. It's good. So that's those in place. Now we're going to just put the rear ones on, and again we can see down here this is where they're going to locate in. You can see the locator and then 2 screw holes. Obviously the open hole side, they'll actually only go on one way anyway, but that's what that hole is actually where the suspension pin's going to go later on. So I am talking kind of, you know, some very basics here. There's probably, you know, some guys that have been building cars for a long time that are maybe going to get a little bit bored with the process, but what I thought I would do to start with is just go through a really thorough build of the car. Everyone, you know, there's plenty of opinions on how to build a car. This is the particular way I do it, and there's sure to be people that do things a little bit differently, but that's what racing's all about, isn't it? It's putting your own spin on it. Same with setups and stuff like that as well. One particular car won't suit another driver. Okay, so it's that, and then we're just going to put the antenna post in as well. What you'll see is there's actually a slot. There's a slot down one side. What I suggest is that slot faces towards the side that your receiver is going to be on, because our belt is actually going to be running over this side, so we really want to keep that antenna wire well away from you know, any moving parts. So there's a little trick that we do to the antenna post as well that I like to do, but we'll do that at a later stage with some of the more finer kind of tricks. Okay, so we'll just make sure that you can see there that we've got the slot. Receiver's going to be sitting somewhere over here, so we'll have that slot facing the receiver. Okay, so that completes page 2.